Hello again, people. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. So we got a new property today that I think is really going to appeal to those of you who like to call me and say, I don't want anyone telling me what I can and cannot do with my blah, blah, blah. Those people who do not want to be subject to any sort of government regulation on their land. As you can see here from the headline, there are no county zoning laws, no county zoning ordinances that this property is subject to. So it makes it one of those rare places in New Mexico where you have that level of freedom, that level of independence that you don't have in other places. Additionally, this is also good for those of you who want to do quote-unquote unconventional things like build a tiny home or a shipping container home, or even just for those of you who want a place that you can sort of RV and camp on for indiscriminate periods of time. Ideal for all of those things. I should also mention this is in a part of the state where it's a little rural, so you're going to have more privacy than you would in other places, which I know some of you are really desperately looking for these days. So with all that said, let's get to the particulars. This is HGNM 2059, located in Hidalgo County. It's in the boot heel of the state, down in the southwest corner, bordering Arizona and Mexico. This is a 2.16 acre lot located in the Animas Acres subdivision, really within the quote-unquote city limits of Animas. And as you saw up top here, this property is priced at $8,000. Before I get to pulling this up on a map, I just want to mention, because I feel most people don't watch these videos all the way through, we ask for an earnest money deposit here of $500. I'll talk more about this at the end of the video, but basically we ask you to put down $500. It reserves the property, and then the remaining, $7,500 plus is something that we will collect however you, the buyer, decide. If you want to do credit or debit card, we can do that. If you want to close through a title company, we can do that as well. But we like to get the $500 down and then discuss it with you how you want to close and fund the rest. And, on a practical level, for those of you who do want to pay with a credit or debit card, I just don't anticipate most people can charge this much. Number one, that they have the charging capacity, or number two, that it's just so outside of their normal spending habits that the credit card issuer usually flags it and won't let the transaction go through. So as long as we're asking for $500, usually these things, go through smoothly. Blah, blah, blah. With all that said, guys, let's pull this up on a map. Down here on the listing page, as with all of our listing pages, there are GPS coordinates, center point, corner points, click any one, and up on Google Maps, it shall appear. So this is the property right here located off of El Dorado Road. Let's pull back a little bit, though, and show you where this is within New Mexico itself. So this view is always a little hard to read. Let's go to map view right here. So as noted, the property's here in Hidalgo County. Hidalgo County is a long rectangular county. It extends from the Mexican border up here to just north of Lordsburg. And of course, it hugs the Arizona border at its west, and it hugs the Mexican border to its south. So a long rectangular county that has some small towns like Rodeo, like Lordsburg, and like the aforementioned Animas down here. But not a lot of huge population centers. Lordsburg is probably the biggest, and there's not even like a large Walmart there. The nearest Walmart is over here in Deming in nearby Luna County. So just to give you a sense. Now, if we zoom in on this property, what you're going to see is, as I mentioned, it's located within what I'm calling the city boundaries of Animas. I don't know if Animas is officially a city or a township, but as you can see, it's right here. It's just north of the 9. Of course, the 9 is going to take you pretty easily to your west into nearby Rodeo, or to the east into nearby towns such as Hachita, Gesundheit, and Columbus. That's my hilarious geography joke, by the way. Anyway, but down here, you're within Animas. You've got easy access. So, for instance, to the local high school, if you've got kids, this is probably where they're going to be going to school. Animas Fire District. Over here, you've got the volunteer fire department very close to the subject property, as well as just a fuel station right here. You've got a post office. You've got a church. And over here, you've got the Boot Heel Grocery, etc. So, as you can imagine, this is an area where if you're going to choose to live out here, you're going to have a lot of privacy. You're going to have a lot of seclusion. But maybe access to amenities is going to be a little tougher. Maybe if you're looking to build something out here, you're going to have to take trips in a nearby Lordsburg to get to the nearest hardware store, etc. Or like big grocery runs might be out to there as well. And it should be noted, by the way, let me just give you guys a sense of how far Lordsburg is. If we right-click and measure distance up to here, say 30 miles as the crow flies. Maybe if you're going up here, up the 338 to the 10, maybe it's more like a 40-minute drive, something like that. But that's going to be how far you are from a major population center. So if you're going there for groceries, for supplies, for medical, for just to hang out on a Friday night, that's probably going to be where you're doing it. All right, so with all that said, let's talk about property specifics. As noted, this is a 2.16 acre property sitting here off El Dorado Road. Is roughly this sort of rectangular shape right here. If you'd like more evidence of that, you can come down to our listing page here and you can see number 1, our Google Earth overlay, which will give you a sense of the exact size, shape, location of the property. Additionally, you can see the plat map. For those of you who like looking at plat maps, this is one of them. And I should point out that this line you have going through the plat map here is a utility easement for power. So for instance, if we go back to the property right here, you will see power line right here. You'll see power line right here. It's sort of running this length like this through the property. Now, there's also power here at the back end of the property. This is more of a residential power line, whereas these are more commercial power lines. It should also be noted, of course, you've got some neighbors here, here, and here, all of whom have power going to their property. So either way, the point of me mentioning all this is that power is very close by. It's at the property line. Should not be difficult to get hooked up to whatever you eventually decide to build here on the property. So easier and more affordable. Now, it should also be noted this is one of these rare rural places in New Mexico where I can take the little guy in Google Maps and I can drop him down on Dorado Road and I can give you a sense of exactly what this property looks like from the road. Of course, as with all of our properties, we get them photographed, and I'll get to the photos in a second. But you get a nice sense of the property, you get a sense of these power lines that I was talking about. And additionally, if you look over here, you can see what the neighbor's lot is like. Now, one thing I just want to point out to you guys, which is that the neighbor has a well. Okay. So this is notable because within this region, you've got power, you've got phone lines, you've got internet, things like that, right? But what you don't have out here are septic, and what you don't have out here are like essentially a water utility servicing this region. And a lot of people like to call and ask questions like, you know, what's the water table depth? How much is it going to cost me to drill a well out here? I normally don't have good information on those sorts of things. I always recommend people talk to the Office of the State Engineer for well logs in the region. I always mention talk to a local well driller like Elbrock down here in the southwest part of the state. They can better talk to you about, and certainly be more informative about water table depth and how much it costs to drill down, price per foot, how far you're going to have to go, so on and so forth. But the reason that I point out the well on this property is because when you find a residential area like this, when you find a place where there's somebody living here and here and here and here, etc., what that suggests is that the water table is fairly accessible and it should not be difficult or expensive to drill down and to get water service in the property. And I'm sure if you take this little guy and you drop him in other parts of this little subdivision right here, you're going to find some other people who have wells prominently placed on their properties servicing their homes. So it gives you at least a good sense that it's not going to be impossible and it's not going to be expensive to get water to the property. With all that said, let's go to the aforementioned photo gallery so I can show you guys what this looks like. So first off, very well maintained roads out here. Of course, you're down here in the southern part of the state where it doesn't snow a lot or anything. So, you know, it's less a matter of the road being properly maintained than it is just these roads don't change all that much. You've got a, you know, fairly arid climate in this area. And, yeah. Point being, large vehicle, small vehicle, you're going to be able to traverse it. You're going to be able to get to your property. It should also be noted in the photos here, you can see the commercial power lines that are running through the lot right here. You can also see the residential power line here at the back end of the property. Additionally, you can start to get a sense of what the neighbors' lots are look like. As you go through the photos, you're going to see some mobile homes, some with permanent foundations, some without, some mobile and modular homes. Additionally, you get a sense of just what the land is like. We've bought and sold only a handful of properties in Hidalgo County, but I always like this region. It always just strikes me as the most picturesque part of the state, particularly down in the south, because you have this beautiful mountain views off in the background, and it just seems like there's always gorgeous skylines, always gorgeous clouds in the sky when my photographer goes out there. But the point is that it's just a really pretty part of the state, at least certainly within the southern portion. You can see the mountains off in the background. These are, I'm not exactly sure where one mountain range ends and the other begins, but you've got the Animas Mountains, you've got the Pyramid Mountains down here, etc. And it should also be noted you've got a nice flat piece of land, easy to build on, easy to park whatever you're going to park on it, whether that's an RV or whether that's a mobile home. This isn't the kind of property where you're going to have to dig the whole thing up and excavate and grade it and landscape it for months and months and months to get it vaguely livable. This is one where just on day one you can start building or you can start parking whatever you're going to park out there, etc. Now, I'm just going to skip ahead in the photo gallery a little bit here because I just want to show you guys one of the really nice features out here. So first off, these are some of the mountain ranges that surround the property. You can kind of get a sense of it here in the last few photos. You're going to have these kinds of views every day that you wake up and every day that you go to sleep. And I point this out because this is a subdivision, this Animas Acres. It occupies pretty much all of this area right here, but where it doesn't occupy is the space west of Dorado Road. And I'm pointing that out because what it means is that nobody's going to come and build something right here. Not right here, not right here, not right here, etc. So whatever views you're buying today, these views that you see here in the photo, are the kind of views that are going to remain unobstructed for years to come. So you're always going to have these really beautiful sunset views, these always really beautiful mountain views out here. And of course the clouds do magical things down here in the southwest corner of the state. So you're always going to have that. Now additionally, we have some drone photos of the area. This gives you a sense, when I mentioned earlier about the zoning, I'll get into that in just a second, but I mean, you get a sense of what people are doing out here. Number one, you see things like there's people parking things on their land, and seemingly nobody's bothering them about that. Additionally, you've got some livestock out here on properties. So my guess is they're probably pretty loose with restrictions on livestock, but you'll also see things like trailers. You'll see ones that have permanent foundations and ones that don't. And, so basically it just reinforces my point that there are no formal zoning ordinances in Hidalgo County. Now, just to kind of discuss that in a little bit greater detail, there are counties like Socorro County that make no issues about what you can and cannot build on property. Then there's counties like McKinley or like Hidalgo County, like this, where they will, and while I talk, I'm going to go back to the photo gallery, that will defer to subdivisions, they'll defer to covenants, they will defer to their small towns. So maybe if this property were right outside Lordsburg, maybe Lordsburg Township, city, whatever, would have some notions about what can and cannot be done within its property boundaries. I don't think they do. I've never seen any evidence of it. But the point is maybe the little townships will come in and say, well, you can't do this or you can't do that. This is not the case here with Animas. Additionally, there are no covenants and restrictions that go with this property. We always request those from our title companies, and title companies said there are none that go with this property. So, point being, whatever your little heart desires, you are most likely going to be able to do out here with little resistance. I think as long as you're not pissing off the neighbors, you're most likely going to be able to do whatever you want. So it's a really nice benefit of the land that you don't have those types of restrictions. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, with all that said, so normally this is the part of the video where I do go on at length about zoning, or I do go on about covenants. As noted, there is no formal zoning designation out here. As noted, there are no covenants. So I'm just going to wrap up by just saying a couple things. Number one, local utility company servicing this area is Columbus Electric. If you click this link, it's going to take you to their website. So if you do want to reach out to them in advance and say, hey, I'm buying some land down outside of Animas, I want to talk about getting power hooked up to whatever I'm building out there. What is that realistically going to cost me? There's power, there's power lines already on the property. What does that take to hook up to them? Give me a sense of what I'm going to have to pay for, and et cetera. So that's always a good resource to talk to the local utilities. Number one. Number two, as I mentioned earlier, the Office of the State Engineer, that's always who you want to talk to when it comes to wells, whether they're residential or commercial wells within the state. These are the people who grant water rights. These are the people who, there will be well logs on the site of wells within that region, so you can get a sense of how shallow or deep wells within that area are. I don't normally like to reference them because they never really give you a hard and fast number, like, oh, it's definitely 50 feet. Here, 50 feet. There you go. It's, normally more like, well, there's a well that's 100 feet deep in this one area, and there's a well that's 25 feet deep in that area, or whatever. You get the point. So it's never really concrete type of evidence that I can ever point a buyer to. But point is, these people are an excellent resource if you have questions about this sort of thing. They're going to be able to inform you far better than we can here. Additionally, we have well drilling information such as this link, or the well drilling permit application, which you could bring up and you can read about exactly what it takes to even apply for that sort of permit. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, with all that said, guys, as noted, this is one that we closed on with a title company, so we have title insurance on this, which means we'll be providing you with a warranty deed. We closed on it with Luna County Abstract. Luna County and Hidalgo County Abstract are sister title companies. And to my knowledge, I believe the Hidalgo County office closed like a year and a half ago, something like that. So they do all their business in Luna County right now. Whatever the case, we can provide you with a warranty deed. If you want title insurance and this is something you want to close through a title company, certainly we will accommodate that as well. Whatever the case, guys, if you are interested in purchasing this property, just come up here, click the Buy Now button. It's going to take you to the secure checkout page. As noted, the property is $8,000 plus the $150 doc prep fee, so $8,150 total. We're just asking for $500 down, and then you can tell us how you want to close this. There's multiple options. If you want to do it with a credit or debit card, that's the easiest one for us. But if you want to do it through a title company, if you want that extra degree of security, we will very gladly accommodate that. Whatever the case, here at checkout, we ask you for a couple pieces of information: legal name or names for the deed, tax address, where's the county going to send the yearly tax bill. By the way, yearly tax bill of, I should mention, $14 annually, not bad. Anyway, you fill out that information, agree to the terms of service, click the next page, and there we will ask for credit or debit card information. Again, that's a secure checkout. Once you put down the $500, we'll contact you within 24 hours and we'll ask how you want to close this. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the various ways in which we do this, we've got this page called How It Works. If you come up here and click on Buying From Us, it'll take you to this page. Generally, with properties under $10,000, we recommend what's called a notary close. On that one, we just ask you for all the money, and then we draft the new deed and we get it recorded for you. But as noted, if this is something where you want title insurance, you want that extra level of security, you don't want to hand all your money to us until such time as the property has been deeded into your name, this is always the best way to do it, title escrow, particularly if you foresee taking out some sort of loan from a bank to build on the property. A lender's not going to lend on a property that doesn't have title insurance. So this will be something that you'll want as a buyer. Whatever the case, you put down the earnest money deposit. We're going to draft a sale purchase agreement. You sign it, we sign it, we'll submit it to Luna County Abstract, and hopefully they'll get it done in about 2 weeks because they just insured it very recently. That being said, when it comes to title companies and speed and efficiency, do not hold your breath. Whatever the case, they will contact you when they're done with their due diligence and say, okay, wire us the remaining funds, and they'll contact us and say, okay, sign the deed, and they will not release your funds to us until such time as we have done that. If you'd like to get a sense of what the sale purchase agreement looks like before you put down any money, so we know, so you know what we'll eventually ask you to sign, just click on that link and it will take you to this page where annoying ads will pop up. But you can get a sense of what our standard contract looks like. This is a generic version of it. Very simple, very self-explanatory. One page for signatures. Title company's not going to do anything until they have something like this, document demonstrating intent from buyer and seller. And we will not draft this document until we have at least the earnest money deposit of $500, just so we know that you're serious. Okay. Anyway, with all that said, guys, if you have any questions, leave them here on the YouTube channel. Shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com, or give us a call, guys. We always love hearing from you at 702-919-7170. But please, not at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. That's my only caveat. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.